Hey folks, welcome back to Canada's Boxing Channel. Thursday, October the 30th. Hope everyone's doing well. Been a cold morning here, but at least it's nice and bright and sunny. The other day, I did a video and I was really rather critical of the Ring magazine ratings. And, well, generally, I suppose, not just the Ring magazine's ratings, but there's something to pick at with each of the association's rankings or ratings of heavyweights as well. You know, kind of like looking at, for example, the WBO. They've got names on there like number 6, Jared Anderson. The man is not really active, right? Some of the others, let's just see. The IBF has Richard Torrens Jr. at number 4. Martin Bakole still in the top 10. I suppose you could make an argument for Bakole, but Richard Torrens Jr., 13-0, rated number 4 in the world. Just look at the WBA, for example. Dave Allen is rated as the 8th best heavyweight in the world. And it's really hard to justify some of these. So I thought what I would do is I would do Canada's Boxing's Channel, top 10 heavyweights. Now, there's a problem with anybody's rankings, and the problem is usually at the lower end, because there's some people who you think, well, even though I've put them in as a top 10, I'm not actually sure if they would be, kind of thing. Part of that is because of inactivity. We live in an era where fighters fight once, maybe twice a year. And so it's really hard to make those assessments. Just going through the others, the WBC, Lawrence Okolie, number 1. Frank Sanchez, number 8. You could make arguments, but I decided what I would do is forget whether a fighter was a member of any particular belt awarding association, and just go through who I thought were the top 10 based upon their most recent performances, their record, overall quality of opposition they faced, and just pure opinion where I think they stand. I think my list is open to criticism, of course, and this is where I really would like you guys to, in the comments section, tell me who your top 10 is. Or if I've got somebody in and you think there's no way that guy should be in there, well, then let me know, but with a little bit of explanation. Otherwise, I'm left guessing, right? Because if you just say, oh, I don't think he should be in there, well, why? Because you don't like his name? I think my list is probably as defensible as any, and certainly more defensible than the Ring magazine, which, as I criticized heavily the other day, keeps on including Tyson Fury at number 1, a retired boxer. So if we're going to go with that, I won't put Lennox Lewis in. So, tongue in cheek, right? You get the idea. So from the top, I think the best boxer in the world, so we'll call him the champion, and then the next best we'll call like the number 1 contender. So the best in the world is the present undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Olympic gold medalist, world champion, world amateur champion, former cruiserweight undisputed, and 3-time undisputed heavyweight champion of the world, Alexander Usyk. I can't really think that anybody's going to take too much issue with that. This isn't a fantasy fight league, so there's not much point saying, but, so-and-so could beat so-and-so. It's not really one of the metrics, right? Maybe if there's interest, we'll do a fantasy fight league, but I don't really get off on those too much because they're purely subjective, right? So, as champion, I've got Alexander Usyk. Then as the number one contender, I've put Fabio Wardley in. And this is based off his win over Joseph Parker. And then I'm relying upon Joseph Parker's recent wins to explain why the win over Parker is worth more than, say, for example, Kabayel's win over Zhang, right? Because Parker beat Wilder, Parker beat Zhang, Parker beat Bakole, question mark or asterisk, because of course Bakole was a late replacement and had literally just pushed himself away from the buffet table. But he beat 3 top 10s in a row. Wilder was still in the top 10, Zhang was in the top 10, and Bakole was in the top 10. So then beating Parker puts Wardley as number one. Number two, I've got Ajit Kabayel. And I'm putting Ajit Kabayel in there because of his wins over Frank Sanchez. Slight question mark. People are saying that Frank Sanchez had a bit of a leg injury, but nevertheless, he beat him. Prior to that, he'd beaten the previously unbeaten Arslanbek Makhmudov, who was rated rather highly. Maybe there's a question mark about that because Makhmudov didn't show a lot subsequent, but then he did show quite a bit, beating Dave Allen, though, I get it, lower level. And of course, Kabayel stopped Zhilei Zhang. And I think that's an important win. So at number two, I've got Ajit Kabayel. Number three, I've got Joseph Parker. And I've got Joseph Parker based on the wins he had and also the performance he put in against Wardley. Remember, he was beating Wardley on at least 2 of the judges' cards. A somewhat controversial stoppage. Not saying that he would have beaten Wardley, but it was somewhat spoiled by the stoppage. And he certainly, I don't think, is worthy of being ranked much lower. Then, of course, we've got Daniel Dubois. Daniel Dubois was on a real winning streak, and most noticeably beating Anthony Joshua. Yes, he got stopped/quit against Alexander Usyk, but a loss against Alexander Usyk isn't such a terribly bad thing, since nobody has been able to beat him, and he's beaten Fury twice and AJ twice. So Daniel Dubois, I've got number 4. Number 5, I've got Filip Hrgović. And again, based on his most recent performance, where he and his overall record, right? Like he was beaten by Dubois, but he came back. He had that great fight with Adelaide. So I've got Filip Hrgović at number 5. Number 6, I've got Zhilei Zhang. Now, Zhilei Zhang, very powerful, has dropped Parker, dropped Kabayel. Biggest weakness with Zhang is his gas tank. But I've got him in at number 6, again, based on who he's beaten, his form, and generally quality of CV. And here it gets really sketchy. 7 through to 10, I mean, you're almost like throwing darts at a dartboard, really. Number 7, I've got Efe Ajagba. Number 8, I've kept Anthony Joshua in. Now, this could be controversial. Anthony Joshua was comprehensively beaten by Daniel Dubois, and his previous fights, Otto Wallin, almost sort of doesn't count, and Francis Ngannou really shouldn't count, but 2-time unified champion, I'm keeping him in, and in part because it gets pretty thin gruel. After the top 6 or 7, you're looking at names and you're thinking, well, he's got promise, could be, but then you look at who they've beaten, the Mike Bologans of the world, and it's really hard to make a good assessment. Excuse me. Next, we've got Lawrence Okolie. Then I've got Derek Chisora. And last, I've got Moses Atoma. I think Moses Atoma could beat Derek Chisora for sure. And it'd be interesting to see how he would do against Lawrence Okolie. But Moses Atoma has fought maybe 5 minutes in the whole of 2025, and the only name on his record that is sort of known is Dillian Whyte, an old Dillian Whyte. So it's really hard for me to rate Moses Itomo any higher. Does he have the promise? Oh, of course he has the promise. Absolutely. But some of the associations have got him ranked number one, and I'm like, but he hasn't fought anybody. Like Mike Bologin, Dempsey McCain, quality finishes, but against people who were, with all due respect, not high quality opponents. So there's my list. Usyk is the champion. Wardley, Kabayel, Parker, Dubois, Hrgovic, Zhang, Ajagba, AJ, Okoli, Chisora, and Itomo. That might be 11, actually. Please let me know what you think. I think this list is as good as any you're going to see out of the Ring magazine or out of the various belt awarding associations. I think the first 6 are really defensible. After that, I don't really get too fussed either myself, to be perfectly honest. But let me know. I'd be interested to know what your thinking is. Please like, please share, please subscribe if you are watching this and you haven't yet subscribed. Most importantly, leave comments, and most importantly, have a fabulous day wherever you are. Thank you.